Why does DayZ continue to ignore the community when they continually ask for a proper base building overhaul? Because although they've developed a brand new system for the DLC, proper base building still remains untouched. And here, I'm going to give you the reasons why. If you like the video, please leave a like or a subscribe, it really helps me out. But without further ado, let's get into the video. We don't call these things bugs, we call them unintended features. Yeah. Players have asked for stronger fortifications, more building options, better snapping, more meaningful progression, and a system that feels closer to building an actual settlement rather than simply putting down a few walls and hoping nobody raids it overnight. Despite all of these requests, base building has barely evolved compared to almost every other part of the game. We've seen engine improvements, new maps, weather systems, infected updates, countless weapons and clothing items, but one of the most requested features has remained largely unchanged since patch 1.0. And when they finally gave us some base building, it's locked behind a paywall, which is kind of like asking somebody for a Coke and them giving you a Pepsi and being like, it's just as good, right? So why? Well, the first reason, and probably one of the most important, is that DayZ has never really been designed around permanent settlements. At its core, it's a survival game built around movement. The game encourages players to travel across the map, search for supplies, encounter strangers, and constantly adapt changing situations. A much deeper base building system changes all of that. Instead of traveling across the map every session, players begin staying inside large compounds. Loot runs become less important because everything is stockpiled. Risk is reduced because players have somewhere safe to return to after every fight. The stronger bases become, the less players are encouraged to interact with the world itself. Bohemia may simply believe that keeping players moving creates more interesting gameplay than encouraging them to sit behind walls for weeks. That being said, it also limits gameplay, takes choice away from the player, and if that was the case, why was base building ever added in the first place? It's a stupid reason, not to be biased here. So this next reason might cause a bit of drama, but first, this video is sponsored by War Thunder. War Thunder is one of the most comprehensive vehicle combat games ever made. Take control of over 2,500 incredibly detailed tanks, aircraft, helicopters and ships from 10 major nations and join a worldwide community of over 95 million players in epic PvP battles today. Whether you prefer arcade, realistic or simulator battles, this game will run on pretty much every single machine. The realistic graphics and authentic sound effects place you right at the wheel of the most powerful war machines ever created. I've been playing this game for years and I am so happy they finally reached out. Play War Thunder for free now on PC, PlayStation, Xbox and mobile using the links in the pinned comment or video description. New players and returning players on PC and console who haven't played for at least 6 months will receive a massive bonus pack including multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator, Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions and 7 days of premium account. It's only available for a limited time, so get it while you can. And don't forget, checking and clicking the links really does help the channels out when they make these videos. Reason 2. Whether people like it or not, the biggest DayZ creators influence the conversation surrounding the game. They do. Most successful DayZ videos revolve around player interaction, ambushes, betrayals, firefights and unexpected encounters. Those moments happen because people are constantly traveling. Large permanent bases naturally reduce those encounters because players spend more time organizing loot, defending compounds and staying in familiar areas. I'm not suggesting Bohemia develops the game solely based on what streamers want, that would be ridiculous, but it kind of does look like when certain favored streamers express an opinion, whether negative or positive, there's a reaction to it. And this might be completely untrue, but it's certainly how it comes across and it's certainly how many people feel based on the comments I've received over the past few months. Number 3. DLC generates revenue. This is probably the least exciting explanation, but it may also be one of the most realistic. Development resources are limited. Every programmer working on rebuilding base building is a programmer who isn't creating new maps, new assets or new content that can actually generate income, such as new systems for base building on a DLC only paywalled map. A major base building overhaul would almost certainly be released as a free update. A new DLC map isn't. Businesses naturally prioritize projects to help fund future development, and from that perspective, it's easy to understand why resources may be directed towards content that directly sells copies of the game instead of rebuilding an existing mechanic. I say this all the time, people have to remember, DayZ is not your friend. Bohemia is a business. Next up is the one I believe is probably the most likely out of all of them, and that is DayZ 2. We all know that DayZ 2 is in the works. We all know that DayZ 2 is going to be fighting an uphill battle when it drops, and that's because it's competing with years of nostalgia. There's not really anything new they can add. There's so many systems in DayZ they're going to have to implement that it's just an impossible task. And once they've implemented all these systems, they then have to improve on them. Now, a big selling point of DayZ 2 could be a huge overhaul of the base building system. It's really the only thing they they can add for DayZ 2 that isn't in DayZ 1, because everything else has to be carried across because it is a core principle of the game's structure. So I do think this is one of the biggest reasons, because they know if they release DayZ 2 and they say DayZ 2 comes with base building, everyone's going to go on it and everyone's going to buy it. But another reason, and one reason players often underestimate, is just how difficult it is to create a system that satisfies everyone. Builders want stronger walls, raiders want more ways inside, solo players don't want giant clans becoming impossible to challenge, clan players don't want hundreds of hours of work destroyed in 5 minutes. Every improvement creates another problem somewhere else. Making base building deeper isn't simply a matter of adding more walls and doors. Every change affects PvP, loot progression, server economies, and long-term balances across the entire game. Though I do think the new system demonstrates that it is definitely possible. But the next reason is DayZ already has to remember an enormous number of persistent objects across every server. Every fence, watchtower, storage crate, and every gate has to be saved and synchronized. Now imagine DayZ dramatically increases the complexity of those systems by introducing larger settlements, more construction pieces, and more persistent structures. Even if modern hardware is improving, official servers still have performance targets to meet, especially when you remember that DayZ also has to run on consoles. And even the PCs it runs on, statistically speaking, are mostly mid-tier at best. It's entirely possible that Bohemia simply doesn't think the technical cost is worth the gameplay benefit. And next, anyone who's played a long-running server has probably seen this before. Half-finished compounds, random walls in forests, ruined gates blocking roads, abandoned bases nobody has touched in months. A much deeper building system could actually make this problem significantly worse. Unless Bohemia completely redesigns persistence, decay, and maintenance mechanics, every server could slowly become covered in abandoned player structures that make the world feel cluttered rather than immersive. Though I don't know if this could be enough to sway a decision, it certainly could be contributory. Next up, not every DayZ map is trying to deliver the same experience. Some maps encounter exploration, others focus on harsh survival, some are built around limited resources and constant movement. Adding powerful base buildings or even environmental risks make those maps feel much more similar. Bohemia may intentionally keep construction limited because they want each map to encourage different playstyles rather than allowing players to solve every situation by building a fortress. That being said, with the introduction of mods, this kinda goes out the window. So although it's a sound idea that somebody mentioned to me in theory, I don't actually think it holds much weight. Next, and here's one people don't ever consider, it could just be stubbornness. It could be the fact that players have been asking for it, not just asking for it, but actually demanding it for so long that they're just getting stubborn. Like a you can't tell me what to do kind of situation. Can be that way with developers sometimes. I've known it happen with games. I know it's happening now with another game on a different issue, and players have made threats and everything over certain features in DayZ. So it could just be stubbornness. But also another reason, and maybe the biggest philosophical reason of all, Bohemia may genuinely believe DayZ is at its best when players are survivors instead of settlers. The uncertainty is what creates tension, not knowing where you'll sleep, not knowing who's watching you, not knowing whether you'll make it back alive. The stronger and more permanent bases become, the more that uncertainty disappears. Eventually you're no longer surviving hostile worlds, you're simply managing property. At that point the game starts moving away from the survival experience that made DayZ so unique in the first place. Whether players agree with that design philosophy or not is another discussion entirely, but if that is the direction Bohemia believes is best for DayZ, it would explain why proper base building has remained one of the most requested features without ever becoming one of its biggest priorities, and it could explain why they've only added it to this new map by testing the balance that it can do, because having base building change on one entire map to test the waters is completely different than rearranging the whole game, where once you add base building, if it changes it too much, you can't unadd it. And that would also explain why they've said that there's no plans now, but maybe in future. Of course, I would say that that comment was just pacification to stop people from requesting it constantly. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. I genuinely do read every one. And don't forget, you can play War Thunder for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and mobile using my links in the pinned comment or description. And new and returning PC and console players can claim a massive limited time bonus pack. And for more DayZ content, click here. Or for something else, click here. And as always, until next time.